This is the Vendor IT Risk Assessment, or VITRA, process. We use this process to introduce new software into ASU's electronic environment. We will walk through the process flow and then review the forms and websites that are part of the process. The process begins when you, the ASU requester, submits an IT risk assessment. You can do this from ServiceNow or from the Vendor IT Risk Assessment website. In this assessment, you will describe the software, the vendor, and your business process for using the software. The request will go to the IT Risk Assessment team, who will see if this software is already in our system. If it is a new software, they will send you a tiering questionnaire. The questionnaire will ask for more information about the software and how it will be used. The IT Risk Assessment team will review your responses. If you indicate that you're using a new vendor or you have a need to integrate the software with our existing systems or the software needs to touch our data, then the IT Risk Assessment team will send the new vendor a request for specific information. Keep in mind that VITRA assessment timelines are subject to the responsiveness of you, the customer, and the vendor during this process. Information about target maximum processing times for each of these steps can be found at the Vendor IT Risk Assessment website. When the vendor has uploaded all the required information, the IT Risk Assessment team will determine the relative risk of your proposal. They will send you a message via ServiceNow and email that the review is done. You will approve that message, acknowledging that the review is complete. If the risk assessment team finds your engagement, your software and your vendor, are a low risk, they will notify you that you can continue with your purchasing process. If your engagement presents a moderate or high risk, the IT Risk Assessment team will work with your department technology leader and your accountability administrator to reduce or accept that higher risk. Okay, so that's the basic process. Now let's step back and take a look at a couple of the steps that require forms or websites to complete. The first is the first step, the IT Risk Assessment. There, you can either go to the IT Risk Assessment website or to ServiceNow. We'll show you how to go through the ServiceNow process. Log in to My ASU and click on the Service tab. Once there, click on My Service Portal. From here, search for Vendor IT and click on Vendor IT Risk Assessment. This is the online form that you'll fill out. Use the pull-down to see if the vendor for your software is already on the list. If it is, simply select it. If your vendor is not on the list, check the New Vendor box and fill in the vendor name and the software. Next, you'll type in the business purpose of your process. And then you'll put in the vendor primary contact. If you have secondary contacts, that's even better, and you will fill all of that in. If you don't have a vendor contact, put NA for the first two and security.review@asu.edu for the contact email. Finally, you'll read the general procurement question listed here in the box and then answer the question. If you answer yes, that the vendor requires a non-disclosure agreement, then you can upload it by clicking on this button here. Once that's done, click on Order Now, and step 1 is complete. Next, we'll take a look at the Criticality Tiering Assessment Questionnaire. You'll get a tiering questionnaire in email. This is what the tiering questionnaire will look like. It will come from ASU Service Desk, and the subject line will say Tiering Questionnaire. In here will be a link to the questionnaire. Click on the Vendor Risk Assessment. Here are the questions that you would fill out. They ask questions about integrating with sensitive data and who will use the software. Once you have answered the questions, click Submit. The next step in the process is contacting the vendor. While the ITRA team will do that directly, this is the step that usually takes the most time in the VITRA process. Remember that at the Vendor Risk Assessment website, there are materials that you can use to contact your vendor to help them fill out the information requested and make the process go smoothly. Let's take a look at what the vendor will see. The vendor will get 2 emails, both from ASU Service Desk, that say Welcome to Arizona State University. The first one will have the vendor portal login link, as well as their username and temporary password. The second email will repeat the vendor portal link, as well as give them a due date to accomplish their tasks. When they first log in, they'll need to change their password. They will have a set of assessments and questionnaires that they'll need to complete. The rest of the process will be conducted via email. And that is the process. Much more information, including information you can share with your vendor, is at the Vendor IT Risk Assessment website shown here. Thank you for your time and attention.